Hey, welcome back to Score on Business. And Mila had asked right before the break, so let me ask again, what is brand?
So many people they're confused by the word brand. So I always bring it back to reputation, and that seems to trigger the right way. Right. It's what people think about you, right? But you're in control.
It's not the logo. It's not any one thing.
None of that. Yeah. Brand drives everything, though. So your brand, who you are, those foundational values, right? So as an individual, brand is how do you want people to perceive and describe you when they see you, right? See you, it's a quarter of a second to make a first impression. Hear you, hear your voice, or read anything that you've written, whether that's in text, an email, on LinkedIn. How do you want people to perceive and describe you when all those things happen? And you should have values or value statements that you literally use as a filter for all that you do. Now take that, and it's the same thing for a company, a business, association, school. It's all the same. So everybody should have brand values or brand value statements so that they can say this is foundationally who we are, why we do what we do, and then be able to really communicate that to the employees and make it mean something to them. So most businesses, when it comes to branding, fail because they don't believe that they believe their employees know what their values are and why they do what they do. But most people may know some of the words. There are studies done on this that show most people actually don't know the value statements or mission statement, and if they do, they actually don't know what it means for them. So really now you have to be able to motivate and inspire employees and inspire and motivate the community who you're advertising to, all of those things, but that's all driven by brand. Should I do this in business? Should I do this ad? Should I have this color for my logo? All those things should be answered by your brand. Brand should drive every decision to keep that consistent, just like a person. Like if integrity is your foundational value as a human being, then what does that mean for you? That means there isn't any gray area. The answer is always yes or no. You never lie. And if you make a mistake, you immediately cop to it, right?
Yeah.
Same thing for companies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the difference between a personal and a corporate brand.
Yeah, so the foundations are essentially the same between personal and corporate, right? You have to have those values established. What people aren't doing when it comes to branding personally and corporate is they're not taking an audit. Most people think one thing about them, and it's actually the opposite. Right? Like, I think people think I have integrity, and faith is a huge foundation word for me, and excellence in all that I do, but your brand is who you are on your best days. So brand, if I'm really tired, the word excellence that I want people to associate with me will make me rise to my best. Most companies and people aren't doing audits. Either or. So every brand, we do so many audits, and most companies will find that if we're auditing employees, if it's very different than what they think. If they're auditing how employees feel about the company, very different. If we're auditing marketing and website and logo and social media, and are they on social media, and are they using it? Are they sharing the right stories? Are they on it every single day? Are they being consistent with their posts, which they should be, because if you're not on social media by 2025, you're out of business. Completely out of business, or you're mediocre, or you're going to phase out. So the difference, there isn't a difference at all. I would say the consistency between the two is there isn't any auditing being done that's intentional. Everybody should audit their brand. And 2020 marketing for an individual executive or a corporation is do the brand audit. What do people really think? Are you ahead? Are you using social media in the right way? Are you still using old methods of traditional advertising? Are you ahead? Are you crushing it? And if you're not, then you have to make those adjustments, or you will be left behind.
Right.
Yeah.
So in an audit, what would be some things, say an executive wants to do an audit on his or her brand?
Sure.
How would they do that? They ask people? How would they go about that?
Yeah, that's a great idea. So you can use a tool like a 360 tool. There's actually an online tool much like Strength Finders or DISC, right? You can actually do it and send it, and it's anonymous. Or you can actually go ahead and ask and have lists of questions and say, here's how I want to be perceived. You can't do an audit before you've established who you are, why you do what you do, and what your values are. What are you auditing against? How do you know you're winning or losing? Right? So if I audited someone and they said, oh, I don't know, I mean, she I think, I don't really know if I should trust her or not, that would crush me, because I want integrity to be associated with me, right? So you have to have the values, and then you go, okay, I've established values. I think I know why I do what I do. I have an idea of where I want to go. And then you ask certain questions. You have a list of 5 to 10 questions. You go, here, what do you guys really think? What are people that you've worked with currently work with? It's always great. I have older children, so when I ask them, what do you guys really think? They're like, you really want me to tell you, right? Like, you have to know what people think, and if you have a spouse, that's always the worst and most fun audit at the same time.
I'll bet that doing it anonymously gets more candid answers.
You're right. Very helpful. Yes, you have to. I mean, most of the time that's what we suggest. Or if someone calls us, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And then we'll go, okay, tell us. Here's a list of questions. What do you think? I mean, this executive really wants to get better. Here's where they're going. Are they a great leader? What does leadership mean to them? And are they leading? And do they have high emotional intelligence? Can they communicate? All of those things that build a personal brand. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So specifically in Nashville.
Yeah.
Why is brand important?
Yeah. If you want to be heard at all, or there's so much noise in Nashville, right? We're growing so fast. So old firms, old companies, even schools are relying on brands that aren't being touched. You have to know what your brand, where your brand is at all given times. What are people really thinking? I don't own my brand, you own my brand. So if I leave and, Pete, you're like, oh, she was horrible.
Yeah.
That's my brand, right? Like, I don't actually own it. And I think companies have to realize that as new companies are moving to town left and right, and you're getting new law firms moving to town, and you have new brands coming in and hundreds of people moving in a week to Nashville, they don't know these brands.
Yes.
So you have to you have to show your value all over again. So for Nashville, or for growing cities in particular, it's very important to how do you show yourself behind the noise of everybody else?
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so much noise, right? I mean, there's so much advertising, so much going on, and most people want to be seen, but they're not using the tools that are given to them. So as you're building a personal brand, networking is really important. So if I go and I'm networking here, I meet you and I meet the last guest you have on, whatever it might be, and I'm networking, but it's very slow. So most people are not taking social media and doing what they need to do on social. I hear all the time, I really don't like social, I really don't like LinkedIn, and I don't really understand Instagram, or I'm just an influencer on Instagram, I'm only using one social media platform. Failure is inevitable there. You really have to look at social media. That's where we see everything now. So if you want to be seen as an individual or a corporation, you have to share your story, you have to pick what you want people to know about you, and then you have to post every single day, and you have to be a good storyteller. So most companies are like saying things like, hey, this is what I can do for you.
Yeah.
Most people don't care.
Yeah.
What they want to know is, do you add value to my life? Like if 3M, a science technology company, can add value by showing you they're saving lives with tape, then you've got a story. But most executives are like, hey, LinkedIn is just for people who are looking for a job. Absolutely not true. It's a farce. That is death by not having the knowledge.
Right.
You must be on something. Unless you're looking to retire in 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But if you have a career that you want to share your value, these are the avenues where it's being done. One post can go viral. 15,000 people in the Nashville area can see you and see a post that you've done and visualize it and get to know your name, right? Or you can go to 18,000 networking events and not meet that many people.
Right.
What's the better avenue? Now, do you need both?
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to talk more about this, but we need to take a break. And ladies and gents, we'll be right back.